Schultz, and Gathers is here. And we have Commissioner Julie LaFave. Go ahead, Julie.
Thank you. Commissioner Julia Fave, Department of Parks, Recreation, and Youth Programs. And I'd like to go on record that we probably have the biggest audience from our department. But, and I joke, but I don't, because this is a department who has a lot of pride in what we do, and no arms had to be twisted to get them to come here. They represent the work that is within this budget, so if you don't mind, I would ask them to just stand loudly, just say who they are and what bureau within Parks and Recreation they are. So we'll just start over there with Chris, and then you guys just go down the line.
Chris Hatt, Recreation Program Director of the Recreation Team.
Charlie Wallace, Recreation Supervisor.
Are you loud enough?
Brittany Farmer, Special Events Coordinator.
Brian Messite, Planning and Development.
Brett Lopes, the Aquatics Director. Tyler Montresor, Aquatic Supervisor.
Jessica Deere, Secretary to the Commissioner.
Jesse Brantley, Youth Recreation, Capricorn, born in 19...
Joe Burns, Athletic Program Director.
Jess O'Terry, Electric Gallo, and Steve Workman.
Steve, we'll come over to you.
Steve Harris, City Arborist.
Casey Craig, Ground Superintendent.
Kim Bond, Forestry Technician.
So thank you very much. Oh, go ahead.
I'd like to also say we have Councilor Padiago here.
Thank you. So the Parks Department is the fourth largest department in the city, and I also think that sometimes we are the most misunderstood about all of what we do, all we encompass. So again, that's why they're here, because numbers don't really tell a story, but if you guys have specific questions, which I find that, you know, is helpful to you, you might ask how many swimmers we see in a season. I can't answer that offhand. They here could give a much better answer to that. So thank you for accepting our proposal, or looking at our proposal right now. This year's budget proposal, I'm happy to say that working with the budget office, the mayor's office, and some of the counselors, both the capital plan and the operating plan show an investment in Parks and Recreation, which I'd like to think was long overdue. We are growing the department, specifically in our grounds department. We have a very small work crew compared to the amount of space that we maintain. We have acres and acres of fields, specific fields, golf courses. We also oversee over 150 or so green spaces that have to be mowed. The work crew on any given day might only be 15 or 20, which is just not enough. So we have asked for an increase in our laborers. We also are asking for a specific person dedicated to our golf courses. Our golf courses are a gem, hidden to some, known to others, but they're a gem within the city. We do not have a union-specific title that has to have anybody with any specialized knowledge in this. We'd like to take this and eventually grow it to a similar type of position for our athletic fields, but in the meantime, we've been investing in equipment such as our turf tank, so that we can line a field now in 30 minutes with the use of a machine, as opposed to it used to take 8 hours. Okay. We also are investing both last year and kind of coming into this next year, the ability to offer more programming. So the mayor announced the Family Recreation Bureau. So with that, we have investments in, we have the inflatable moving screen. We just bought ice bikes. Now we need staff to run these programs. If we're going to have movies in the park, I have to have staff that can do that. Our forestry department.
Yes. Before you go on, what's the reason why you don't have staff to do it?
I don't have full-time staff. Okay. I don't have a dedicated person, because everybody who is out there right now, the special events division, they're busy sun up to sundown as soon as the sun is out for every single special event at Clinton Square, Jubilee, Onondaga Park, Berry Park, whatever it may be. Aquatics department, when we have aquathons, which is a race and a swim, they're busy running 8 pools. They're stretched too thin, so it's the addition of full-time staff for us to increase our programming. Speaking of the pools, this proposal represents a request to add another full-time aquatic supervisor. Right now you have just those 2 in charge of 8 outdoor pools and 2 indoor pools, which, as you can imagine, requires a lot of overtime, which I'm happy they're willing to do, but it is a stretch on any person. So it has an addition of another aquatic supervisor to assist them, as well as 2 more full-time lifeguards. Our pools are not just outdoor in the summer season only, they operate 12 months a year. And that's another big increase was over the year, we've realized over the last 2 years, there's a lot of these vacant green spaces that are city spaces that just weren't being mowed. They just kind of fell off the radar, so the parks team has been diligently collecting those addresses over the years, and we just added, let's say 22 additional locations that to be mowed. So we're improving the aesthetics of the city as well. And if there's any other questions, I'd be happy to address them or defer to the specialists out there.
Anybody have a question? Go ahead, Joe.
I mean, this is a recurring question that we've been hearing from department heads and in the city in general. What's the percentage of your down or at least employees that are supposed to be on staff but really not?
How many vacancies do we have?
Vacancies.
So we have, off the top of my head, I think we have 4 current vacancies within the Recreation Bureau, full-time, that these were employees who retired, took the retirement incentive, and we have not been able to refill. We just haven't found enough applicants. Grounds, I think, is similar. There's 3 current vacancies, but that's sort of an always in process from same as DPW, that they may bid from one department and move to the other department, which created a vacancy here. So it's kind of a never-ending cycle.
Okay, so yours basically is not more of like losing employees to competition, but more to retirement.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think that's the best. That's the best news I have heard from any department yet.
Well, look at what you got here.
Hey, I see that they look strong and they look ready to go. You know.
Do not, no.
So you've been doing, I mean, that's been for a long time, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's gotta be a little stressful on you.
Yes, but at the same time, I mean, I have a lot of trust in the people in this room, so they assist in a lot of ways.
Are you looking to hire? Are we gonna get a deputy? I know it was in here on the line, but
It's still in there, yes.
you guys aren't looking to.
I forgot, it is a vacancy, yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Question, those 22 additional locations to be mowed, are you going to be using staff or outsourcing too?
We outsource majority of our mowing. We mow very little in-house.
Okay. And is that listed under professional services or where?
Yes.
In the budget? Under grounds.
Besides the mowing, what else do you stuff out?
Onondaga Earth Corps. What else do we hire out? I mean, we hire out lining of our fields. We're trying to hire out power washing of all the various courts in the city, just because we don't have the services or the equipment to do that. You can feel free. Yeah, this is Casey Craig. If you want to step on up. This is Casey Craig, the ground superintendent.
Almost mayor of Solvay. So there are a lot of grounds-related services that we do contract out for or use as professional services, UniFirst or cleaning of mats and pest control in terms of, they're older buildings, often grounds buildings in parks, where do mice go when it starts to get wet? They find ways inside. So those are some of the additional type of services that we would use.
What's the process? Do people reach out to you, or do you put out?
It would be so. For example, as Commissioner mentioned, we are looking for a vendor to service power washing of our courts, basketball and tennis courts, in addition to some of our pool spaces as well. What we'll do is we go out, reach out for quotes. If they are a contracted service, obviously with the city or state, we'll look to lean towards that. But if it's a new vendor, we'll reach out, get all the necessary paperwork, the I-9s and so on.
So anybody could refer you a new vendor.
Yeah. So if you were a power washing vendor, I could say reach out and say, hey.
Not particularly.
Some are already on county contract, so we use those because we have to, but then we just go through the county purchasing process based on the dollar value, what type of services.
Got it, thank you.
Julie, do you have, any, I don't see in here, anything for, as far as like maintenance, to keep the parks going? Like, one of my major concerns is the lighting in the parks.
Lighting?
Yes.
So we work with Ken Towsley. So we sort of rely on him for that.
So you go directly to him?
Yes.
What about signs in the parks? Have you been able to take inventory to make sure, because I remember, having this conversation with an incident last year.
At Onondaga?
Yeah, have we been able to acquire the necessary sign in each park, and have we visit each park to make sure that there are proper signs in proper places?
I will say that we use the pandemic to our advantage. Never in the history of us have we ever had to close our community centers, so we had a lot of time to plan for when we were going to open again. Part of that was inventory and everything, and that is a continuing process. With that said, we try to assess the correct number of signs. You can't have a sign for everything. I mean, you can't have a sign that says wear a bike helmet in every single. I mean, we try to weigh where signs are needed, where they are not. I will say with respect to the dog waste and the keep the dogs on a leash, that is one that we do need to have in every single park that we know people are walking dogs. I don't know that we got that sign in yet. Yes? In the ground?
All installed?
Yes, I'm 98% sure.
Okay.
But one of the things that we did, because dog control shifted out. I talk loud, so normally I think my voice would carry. We will reach out to like DPW for sign making, in terms of, there's individual signs that we use, Chuck, Francisco, anyways, that's not the name. Yeah, that's a different person. In any event, when it comes to additional signs being made, that's something that we can look out and make sure that they're installed. And, but with the dog control signs, dog control did move out of our building from what I understand, and it was difficult to track down where items were, so.
And dog control again is where now?
Dog control is the staffing expenses and direct oversight are out of the police department budget. However, their contracts for services are still within the recreation budget.
So you're still paying them out of the contract for services, or you're paying other
I have
expenses related to?
There is 4 bureaus within the Parks and Recreation, and one of them is dog control, so it is one of the 4. I can't speak to that one though because I didn't prepare those numbers.
Okay. How about the grounds 22 additional mowing, that line again, professional services, 144,000? Is that?
It is in there.
Okay.
521.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So 541,500 is professional services. It went from
Hold on, I have a
20,000 in 21 up to 141,000. So I'm just wondering, page 201. I'm just wondering if that's where it is line. Okay. It is not.
No.
Okay.
It's the 540500.
That's the one you're referring to. That's the one too.
Right. That's where the mowing is in 541,500.
Yes.
Manual services, correct. Not professional. Manual services, not professional.
Under the parks grounds maintenance
So
page 201. Can't see a manual service on there.
540,500
So-
operating.
They said manual services.
So manual services is within that number. That's 541,500, but within that, there's further breakdowns. And so manual services is a breakdown within that greater number.
Okay, and that's
So-
679, is that what that is?
540, 500. These are all 540, 551, 540, 552, 54. So all of these make up, and they're further broken down. So they are within the greater number that represents here. So that represents more than just the mowing.
So that's in operating supplies and expenses, not in 541, 500, which is professional services, correct?
Is this budget right here suffice for you to run all of your youth programs for the summer and throughout the year?
The recreation line?
Yes.
Yes.
So this budget is going to allow you to do all the great programs that you guys do.
The recreation portion of it covers our special events programming, like Big Rig Day, tree lighting. It covers aquatics, and it covers all of the recreation programming and the golf courses and the ice rinks.
At all the sites?
Yes.
Commissioner, with that, I know one of the program that I really appreciate that our city does is the summer employment for youth.
Yes.
How is that this year? How is that looking? Are we planning and heading into the right direction to be able to give opportunities to the youth as we normally do?
So there's two parts to that answer. The one is if the youth come directly to us or we connect with CNY Works, they can apply, and 12 months a year we're interviewing and hiring people. A lot of the coordination of the greater city youth employment program comes out of Maria Lewis, and she will filter them our way as well. So we do it on our own, but we also work with others to do so.
Okay. And then the other part is when you contract with Onondaga Earth Corps?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We work with them extensively. But we hire starting at age 15 to work at our pools and any age up. So, I mean, anybody who walks in our door who is available to work, if there's necessary skills, or is willing for us to train to get those necessary skills, they can get a job with us.
So the fees for the park usage have come up periodically just since I've been here. My daughter's doing swimming lessons in the valley now, and it's $10, and I realize now that's a incredible deal.
It is.
But I think for non-residents, it's still 30?
35.
Okay, which is still also an incredible
You go to the
deal.
Y and it's 60 or so.
So I don't have any philosophical issue with city residents getting a great deal, but should we be looking at the non-resident side of it to bring it more in line? Would that make sense?
To bring it down?
No, to charge them more, like to charge the non-residents $60 instead of $35.
I'm not opposed to that. We've been constantly assessing our fees. I mean, Joe, what's the difference between a golf membership, a resident, non-resident? So it's 25 extra if you're not. So we can do a full assessment if you want. We sort of have been on a recurring basis. You guys ultimately would have to approve any change in fees. So if that's something you want us to look in, we absolutely.
I guess, obviously, I'm not speaking for everyone, but the idea of bringing our fees up for non-residents to both let city residents know what a great deal they're getting by the difference, but then also bring in more fees, which we can use to supplement other things. I personally think that would be worthwhile discussion for sure.
How many non-resident people do we have?
For swim lessons?
Yeah.
Brent or Tyler?
Is there like a rough number?
Even just like a rough percentage, or stand up to the microphone, please.
Hi, Tyler Montresor. It's about 60% of our fall, spring, and winter lessons are non-city residents. They come from Onondaga Hill or Fayette. So it really just depends.
Is summertime more?
Summer's more city because it's local. Kids can transport themselves by walking. And then, yeah.
It's coming from the same area, Fayetteville, Onondaga Hill.
Yep.
So that's like competitive.
So the other question I had, demographics of the city change over time, as well as trends in recreation. So what do you see over the next 5-10 years of things that are either like new programming that different cities are doing, or changes that would reflect the city's changing demographics that we could think about for future parks?
So we're recognizing the current situation of Syracuse and just the economic state of the city. That's why we're trying to invest and host more of our own free programming open to all. We just did the ice bikes. We're trying to get more people in. We're also in the process right now of hiring a therapeutic recreation specialist. There are a lot of people out there who need additional services or who want the same equal opportunity to participate, but we don't have anybody specialized or certified to do that. So that's a trend. We're trying to hire somebody who has an actual certification in therapeutic recreation to help us so that we can serve more. Like it or not, kids are staring at screens more, so there's the esports that's taking off. That's a big trend that we'd like to, in some way, hop onto. So I would say we're trying to bounce back from the pandemic with free programming, more opportunities, more of the Hershey Park type trips. We would like to eventually create our own 501c3 for the recreation side of it to help when kids can't afford it, and have them also create a scholarship fund.
I really like that. Two follow-up question, Counselor. First, when applicants apply for swimming lessons,
work?
Yeah, no, for swimming.
Okay.
Is there a way that you prioritize city resident application over, or do you just?
So a registered participant?
Yes. So I apply to take swimming lessons with the parks. Somebody from suburb somewhere apply also and want to come in here. Is there a way you prioritize city resident, although we are paying less, or is that first come, first serve basis?
It's first come, first serve. So we feel the way the current system is right now is that the residents get a lower price, or the actual price, and then the non-residents pay a higher price. The problem with the city of Syracuse, and actually majority of the municipalities in this area, is our software does allow us to click a button that says this is for residents only during this time period. However, you have people who might have an address that says Syracuse, but they're not actually city of Syracuse. And you have some people who might have the same zip code. You're in the city, I'm not in the city. So if we check that box, it would either allow everybody who's not in the city but says Syracuse in their address to do it, or we would block out the other direction. There is a fix for that. It's just very time consuming, and we're trying to tackle that now so that we can have priority windows of reservations.
I'm wondering with as you said, 60% in the winter versus 40%, I'm wondering if that could be a deterring factor in terms of city resident using city swimming pool, because, okay. So I just wanted maybe.
What we could do is we could specifically advertise that, let's say the first week or the first 3 days or whatever window of time we wanted to is for city residents only. Open up our registration, but put something in here that says if you are a non-resident, your reservation will be kicked back to you. And we could do that. It just would take us, we'd be a day behind, which I'm not complaining about. That's the current way we could make that work.
Okay. My second question is, and then I'll stop. My second question is.
You already had two questions.
No, that was first question. The second question is transportation. So assume that because we know here in the city, transportation is a problem. Is there a way where kids that really want to go
to swim lessons?
Swim lessons and other recreational opportunities would be given opportunity to be transported to those spaces? Is there such a thing at all?
So I don't know how to tackle that. I mean, we have swim lessons 4 or 5 nights a week. As far as it relates to the community centers, most of those kids walk there, and we have them spaced throughout the city so that the access is there, at least for that. And that's with the exception of when we close at the end of August and maybe another week. We're open 12 months a year. So we open the door Monday through Friday for all of those youth. So we are able to provide that, and we're not solving the transportation, but we are spread enough that the kids are able to walk to us. Yes.
To Councilor Majuck's question, we have how many community centers?
5.
So what's the average attendance at those 5 centers?
Daily attendance?
Yeah, pre-summer.
I'm going to have Jesse Brantley come up.
Mr. Capricorn, huh?
So what we did last year, obviously with the pandemic, we didn't want to open right back up, and we limited numbers. We're going to open up a little bit more this summer. We're limited to about 40 kids per center. that each of the
So a
community
couple
centers.
hundred kids maybe?
Yeah,
If we're
so,
lucky, right?
yeah, and in relation to getting kids to swim lessons, if you're a registered member of one of the community centers, that community center does also take advantage of the swim lessons, and they're actually for free if you're a registered community member of a community center. So if you go to Wilson Park, those kids that go to Wilson actually go to swim lessons.
During their own time,
They're doing
not
their-
with,
Yeah.
they get a special class.
Yeah,
set
they
up
get a
just for them.
special class set up just because you're a registered member of that community center. So that's kind of how we attack.
And
city
we're
kids.
using that as a entryway to get them involved and interested in potentially lifeguarding.
Exactly,
Is there a
exactly.
cost to be registered in the community center?
Ma'am, one more time?
Is there
It's
a
free.
cost?
No, it's all free. Yeah.
See, that's to my point. I know that those programs work great with the kids. They keep those kids occupied, out of trouble. And I remember that we used to be much more involved with like the schools. And I'm wondering, especially now with the situations we have on the streets now, and this would be a policy question, probably for the administration, but years ago, we used to be active in the city schools too, besides the recreation centers. Now, Title IX came along, got us out of the middle schools and high schools, but we used to be in like the elementary schools.
So we had to prior to the pandemic.
Right.
How many?
So just this summer, we are getting back into at least one school, McKinley Brighton, for a summer program. And going to open it till 9 o'clock, just for kids. Again, a place to go, get off the street.
And we did it at Seymour.
Yeah, so yeah, we did it at Seymour before. We did it at Blodgett before. So again, just opening back up, kind of slow, but yeah, it's definitely something we're looking into.
I guess my question would be if we had like schools open in every quadrant in the city, say 2 or 3 at night, Monday through Friday. Obviously, it costs more money, but, you know, this is the first time in my city's history would you have the capacity? I mean, you would have to hire more people.
We would need more full-time.
Right.
Because you
Full-time
can't,
people.
because I wouldn't want to hire a part-time person to run a site. So we would need more part or full-time people because we would want that more professional level
They used to be
oversight.
called community schools. I think those buildings are city taxpayers' buildings. I think that we're missing the boat sometimes and not use them at night. But this would be, I mean, I'm particularly worried. I know those kids,
They have 6 sites.
they keep out of trouble by being there. They have positive experiences. And I'm just wondering if we could, some time down the road, work with the school district, to expand that, all those schools, so.
So from my opinion, we would like to get back into the schools. We have vacancies right now that we are trying to cover our own community centers. Once we can cover our own community centers, the intention is to then get there.
Absolutely.
So I guess what maybe it'd be initiative by the council to talk with the mayor's office about that idea. Thanks.
Commissioner LaFave.
Yes.
All this is great questions. Just to piggyback off of the questions that have been asked. As far as the media specialist goes, you know, just to get this information, how is the parks, you know, what are you guys utilizing, excuse me, to get that out to the community for advertising, you know, to let them know about the programs, to let them know about a lot of things, because you guys are doing a great job.
So we right now it's going to be something we bring to the council for your request to approve is we would like to hire an outside professional to help brand us essentially, so that, and then come up with a template. I want us to be like, and I hate always compare to the YMCA, but you see a YMCA flyer, you recognize it.
Absolutely.
You see something SU, you know what it is. I want us to be that same way too. So that way when people walk by, they don't have to dig and see, oh, Syracuse Parks and Rec. They see us automatically. And then this outside agency will also work with us to make sure we're utilizing all the proper channels. But I will say that our person, she's not here right now, but she works hand in hand with the comm team from the mayor's office and assesses whether this is more of a press event, press release, or if this is just a Facebook. And if it's a Facebook, is it the mayor's page? Is it the Parks and Rec page? We just sent her to a government social media marketing type conference. So we understand that Facebook's not everything, Twitter's not everything, Instagram's not everything, newspaper's not everything.
You got TikTok, you got...
Right, so, and we're exploring that too. But so we're exploring that too, but then there's also, we're government, so we have to understand legally how can we use it, how do we have to store and archive information, but
Correct.
as they constantly try to change with the new social media channels, we're trying to react and anticipate.
Because I think it's a great thing, you know, especially for a lot of youth. to be able to see, you know, what's going on. Communication in the city, as we all know, is sometimes good and sometimes not so good.
Right. We try to always be the positive.
Correct.
And I will say our Facebook page, which I don't judge just that, but we get very little negativity on our page, which I don't want to ever change that. But
That's
I
good.
think people see us as the positive in the community.
So on that note with promoting, is there a need for more people to participate in your programs? Are you at capacity? Are you way under?
No, I think if we oversold all of our programs, I would not look at that as, I would be like, okay, we're going to offer more programs. So I will say there's always a need to promote. I mean, we have all these health and wellness day in the park every May or so, and we might sorry, Chris, I'm not picking on you, but 10 people might show up. I mean, or we have these great tree walks, or we have these free yoga in the park. I mean, we try to get it for all ages. We have meals being served at our senior centers. And I don't know that enough seniors know about it. So no, there is absolute a need for us to do better. And we're trying to figure out the best ways to do that.
You gotta let Councilor Hogan know about
I
the
would
yoga.
love the free yoga. I don't participate in it, but I would like more than that.
You have two questions. One of them is regarding the summer camp. So we're still doing like the arts blast and the performing arts. Have you come up with a way to make sure that it's not crazy for registration for city kids versus non-city residents kids?
Which programs? I'm sorry.
The summer programs that we offer.
So this summer, summer programming, registration already happened.
So how did that work? Did it ever?
So we did not do a lot of those partner sites this year because it was to a point where they were going to offer us 7 spaces or so, and I was not, it just didn't, that would fill in 1 second. I'm not exaggerating. So what we're doing instead is having those locations come to our youth. Again, this is free. We've taken the cost from $45, whatever it was, and now it's free. We're encouraging these kids to come to our programs, and we're bringing in the Red House, we're bringing in the Most, we're bringing in SU Adventure, and then we're still doing field trips to the zoo. One of them filled quickly. I haven't checked registration. Are they full?
Should have just stayed up there. So no, all of our free programs are not full as of right now, with the exception of the program, I believe, at Thornton Park. So there is room to register, and so, again, as Commissioner stated, we're just bringing all those enrichment programs that you speak about and making sure that city kids that have a chance to take advantage of them and just bring them to our sites. Twofold, so we can get numbers up at our sites, and then our kids can participate in those programs.
Go ahead.
Another question, not to differentiate the city, right? But
Yes.
this is just how I think. The different sides of towns on the city,
Yes.
the city, what is the response, you know what I mean, when you have programs that are going on the east side, the north side, the south side, and the west side?
So I will say, and Jesse can correct me, interrupt me, or whatever, but we have a center director, and this is why there's such a need to have a full-time employee wherever we are, because you can't have a floater. You have a full-time employee in Kirk Park. You have a full-time employee in Westmoreland. They know those kids. They program for what those kids want. So what they're doing at Wilson Park may not work at Kirk, may not work at Schiller. So we are trying, those staff do a great job of working with their actual community to see what their actual interests are. That said, we do offer something that's a blanket like the Hershey Park, because we figure all kids would want that opportunity.
Correct.
But Jason Howard at Westmoreland does a great job.
He does.
Because he works with his community, his kids, and he knows what their needs are. Not even just recreation programming, like haircuts and things like that. So if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, just like you spoke to, we got community centers all over the city to work for that reason, to work with those kids in those specific neighborhoods. And again, like you said, Counselor, to eliminate the transportation issue. So if you're on the south side, okay, Kirk Park is there. It's a great program. We got a great director. We got different things going on at Kirk, so we welcome you to come to Kirk Park if you live on the south side. So that's why we got, Kirk, Wilson, Westmoreland on different sides of town.
What would you say is our weakest?
As far as a site?
Participation, kids, youth.
Schiller Park might be tough because it's so close to McChesney too, and a lot of kids gravitate towards McChesney It's got a gym. It's got a bigger gym. And that's what kids want to do. They want to play in a gym. But we are increasing numbers at Schiller as well. So good.
Do the agencies working in the different quadrants collaborate with your centers?
Yeah. So wherever, it depends. It varies. And again, we lean on our site directors to reach out to the agencies within their neighborhoods for collaboration.
And most likely, and this I know because of the work I do with the district, they bring the information through the district to get kids to come in from different parts of the city.
Yeah, and we work with the district as well. So
That's
when we put
to Pat's
information
point,
on.
that's one of the ways that the district gets involved.
Julie, while we're here, can you, for some of the new, I'm new too, but, for some of the new counselors, the city parks, the schools have facilities that are ours too, right? So is Henniger the only facility?
That's
there?
within a park?
Yeah, within a park. And also, is there the swimming facilities? We own Cleary and what else?
Our indoor pools are at Southwest and Valley Pool, Cleary.
Valley Pool.
Huntington has a pool. It was opened to the public and then the pandemic hit. So we will have access to that again, to program in there again. We just haven't because the pandemic hit, and then the school did finally allow us the opportunity to do that, but we don't have the staffing for a third pool just yet.
And as far as the fields, is Henniger High School the only field that we're?
Valley Turf is a shared field. Trevor, do you want to come over here? The school district uses our Burnett fields at times. We do a little bit of, we may use quote unquote theirs, they may use quote unquote ours. Trevor Wallace does all of the permitting.
Yeah, so all of that, so for the two turf fields up at Henniger, then the one down at Valley Turf, and the school district uses the softball and baseball field up at Burnett, Huntington Field, Frazier Field, Rosser Park behind ITC, that's ours as well. There's a couple more, sorry, off the top of my head. I know there's a couple more, grass fields, but like two fields at Sunnycrest and like the one at Valley are the two big ones, especially this year as well, because the Corcoran turf is actually supposed to get, they're going to start their construction up there May 1st, so the Corcoran lacrosse team, or the Syracuse lacrosse team, they're going to be using Henniger as well, so it's, and we have a very good relationship with them, just working, they help us, we help them. And
Syracuse lacrosse?
Yeah.
You heard that. You said Corcoran first, though.
It's one team, I'm sorry, yeah, it's, yeah.
I don't know about
They're
that.
based out of
I'm not
Corcoran,
in
but they're,
person, I'm just kidding.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so Jesse, what's with participation of youth, what have you observed about Neo-American youth participation in these areas like Schiller and?
So, and that's the thing. New Americans have been going to Schiller, and we begin actually some teams at McChesney as well, as far as New Americans as well. Other sites, not as much, but definitely at Schiller. And
so there is a good number of participants there.
yeah, so I'm not sure, it's not a lot of them to actually take advantage of the program as much as use the field. So a lot of them come use the field. We use that as a recruitment tool as well. Hey, while you're here using the soccer field, why don't you come in and check out the program as well? So not a lot of them in the program yet, but I'm definitely optimistic, especially with this summer us opening back up more, that we're going to get some of those New Americans.
Yeah. I know they also, besides Schiller, they use heavily Sunnycrest. They're like Monday through Sunday. Like they out there, soccer is the thing.
Yeah.
I even felt like coming out of retirement to kind of go back there. But in terms of that, how has it been in terms of, them accessing that Monday through Friday? Has it been fluid in a sense, or?
So especially Schiller, I mean, when the weather's nice, they're there every single day, all day.
7 days a week.
Yeah. I'm not sure about Sunnycrest, how the participation is there, but I know they use Schiller.
Oh yeah.
And it's accessible. There's no fence around it. You can literally just go out there and play. And they use it again every day, all day, as far as what I've seen at Schiller.
So a question about that then, you said earlier that Schiller was one of your lesser participating
Right.
parks.
So-
However, when you look at their soccer participation, so have you thought about changing programming to suit them? Like, is there a way to provide referees or?
So one of the things we did institute a few years ago is called Soccer for Success. It's actually a curriculum that we're using for soccer programs. But again, it's for registered community centers. A lot of the youth that use the field, they really don't want to be part of the actual program. So again, we're just using it as a tool to get them to come on in the program and take advantage of what we have. I do know some of them that use the field. Our dinner program is open to the public at Schiller, so they do take advantage of the dinner program as well.
So the backstop, the baseball backstop, I heard there was talk that was coming down. Is that still in your plan to take that down?
Yes.
Okay. And also more volleyball courts, because I know that's another draw.
That's been brought up to us, volleyball. Yes, the volleyball has been brought up to us, and that we don't have much by way of volleyball, so we are looking at that.
Because I know Schiller has, one or two in the back?
Yes,
to the left
and you
of
have
us.
all 3 members of the planning team right now who are probably taking notes on this.
Okay, excellent. One more request about Schiller, if I can throw it in there, because I've asked in the past, but the power lines that are on the round top, the power poles and the power lines, can you put that on maybe list of things to consider as taking those poles down and burying the lines, or to make that a more usable space?
That's probably outside of our scope, but we'll write that as a note to figure out how to do that.
Because then that could be a much bigger green space area for folks
You
to
jot
use.
that down.
For events, if we put music up there, it could be a better buffer with all the trees.
At Schiller.
At Schiller.
Yes, yes. Well, and the Schiller round, Steve, do you want to talk about Schiller, just how the work that's being done at Schiller?
I'm aware of it.
Okay, all right.
Oh, go ahead, Joe. No, because mine is not about that.
And Jesse and Commissioner, I think piggyback on Jesse.
Come on, Jess. Come on, Capricorn.
There's this thing that I used to, I mean, it's here as well, but it was big where I came from, where take the town to the people or take the services to the people. I think as somebody that grew, someone grew up in this city, there were times where cultural barriers and language barriers kind of pushed us away from participating in certain things, which pushed a lot of us as new Americans to create our own little corner to interact. And I'm saying that to say, as you see a lot of new American kids playing soccer, playing volleyball, and just hanging out, I don't know what park could do to take services to them.
So we have what's called mobile rec, and we haven't talked about that at all, but we have mobile rec, and Chris Abbott oversees that. So in the summertime, it hits a few sites each day. That said, if there's specific sites that we need to get to and we're not getting to, we will go. I think Chris takes the mobile rec vehicle out with anything that's in there anytime we're pretty much requested, and it fits in our schedule. So I don't even think it has to necessarily be a park. If it was like a library or some kind of public space that we got permission to go to, I mean, and we're trying not to hit just the big parks. We're going to all the little parks. We're trying to hit all the neighbors, not just the ones who live, where the neighbors have the most requests of us.
Okay.
Question I was going to ask you about grounds. The constituents in the community want to know about when the grass is being cut. Is there any maintenance for ticks, Lyme disease, for the deers, because the deers in certain parks are excessive.
So, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So, the mowing is done, contracted out. I will say that unfortunately the department had, let's say, roughly 20 years or so, and we weren't really keeping a good eye on the contractors, where they sort of let the footprint of our park get smaller and smaller and smaller every year, which you'd have the overgrowth on the edge, which is obviously an ideal area where ticks survive. So over the last 2 years or so, we've been working with our contractors to expand the park out, mow all the way to the fence line so that we eliminate that environment. That said, the Parks Department, this budget does represent the city's wildlife management plan, which we didn't talk about today, but that is that's managed by Casey Craig and I, as well as a few other committee members. We do wildlife management activities. We can't disclose those locations, but I can say that it's been successful. We just got this year's results, and it again was a success. We can't do management activities everywhere. There's very specific guidelines. If you're in a house or if there's a house nearby, you can't obviously hire a wildlife management person to come in at night, do wildlife management activities nearby homes. So there's only so much we
They
can
don't
do.
spray, so no one sprays the parks for,
Oh, is that what you're asking, if we can spray the parks?
yeah. I mean, I just, you know, people have asked me that in the past, and I've rode past parks, but I actually, just the other day, personally saw like 7 deers at Mountain View Park, and there was a bunch of kids like over there, like near the swing sets, but the deers were over there. So I'm like, you know, just, you know, the health reasons
For education-wise, I know it's not the most exciting topic, but we do coordinate, let's say, a half a dozen seminars throughout the year for people to learn about it. How, again, I know that's not the most exciting thing that people want to come out to, but we also, I don't think that we've looked at it specifically for spraying for ticks, but we are investing in staff. We had 3 staff last year and 3 new ones this year. So we have 6 now staff who are becoming certified or have become certified to apply herbicides, pesticides safely and not just, you know, all over the place, but so we can look to see that as an option.
Okay, can I go back a little bit? Because I think Councilor Schultz had asked a question earlier, but it wasn't really answered.
Sorry.
In regards to the parks ground maintenance on page 201, just to be clear, because in FY21 it said the expense was 20,000, and then it jumped over to 141,000.
Are you still at
I'm
five?
on the professional services line. Yep.
Oh,
on page
541,
201.
500.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just need to know what the difference is. And then on the operating supplies and expenses line, just for clarity, that's where the mowing is coming out of.
Okay, so the 55 to 118, I think that might have been when we added 75,000 for deer management.
That's deer management.
We added 75 one year.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. Oh.
She said the person that
On
you
Sura.
guys have on Sura.
Okay.
From Sura payroll.
Would deer management come under professional services as well? Okay.
And then the other line, the operating supplies and expense, just to see what that jump is from the 1.1 million to the 1.6.
So we've been investing, we invested in the turf tank. The mowing over the years, more and more has come to the Parks Department. It used to be done by various departments, and we've taken it on instead of littles from here, DPW, a little bit from here. So that's a reason why there was a big jump. It all came under us.
Okay. And then the last thing, the Clinton Square maintenance is zeroed out, so you guys are no longer putting resources towards that?
We have trust accounts for Clinton Square maintenance. We have capital accounts. So we are always maintaining Clinton Square.
Okay.
One last question related to that. There's no RFP process for outsourcing the mowing?
There is, it goes out to bid. The county does an actual bid. It goes out to whoever wants to respond to it. It's through, yes, it's
Okay, so you rely on their RFP process? It doesn't come before the council too?
Sorry.
Okay, so, okay.
It's RFPs, we kind of have the judgment to award to the low bidder or not. We can give it to the best response. The bids go to the low bidder. So there's like a territory that's bid out, they respond, the award goes to the low bidder.
It has about 200 locations on it. They bid on which ones they want, which some people might only bid on 3 locations. Somebody might bid on all of them.
Lowest bidder.
Have any more questions? I think we're all set, Commissioner.
Thank you. Thank you.